But I think that just, I don't know, Buffalo's just riding the wave right now based off emotions, Lamar Hamlin. So I think they got this. I don't see it.
We're going to get into that.
Let's jump right in. Yeah, what up, Kev Mike? Tuesday night on the hook, kid. What's going on?
Dude, a lot to talk about, brother.
Absolutely. Dude, bowl season, bro. The title of this show is Bowl Season is ...
Right.
Wow. I got to be honest, Kev. This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting a lot out of the bowl season this year.
Yep.
Shocker over the weekend. I went 0 for 2. I had Bama and I had Texas. Obviously, I was wrong. Kev.
Well, Michigan, I think I took Alabama also. And I took Alabama because I felt like Michigan would have trouble throwing the ball. And at times they did. But I figured, look, in a close game, I'll take Saban over Harbaugh. And I love Harbaugh. Maybe that's not popular, but I like Harbaugh. But again, I think it's weird because I thought the 2 games were really good. Never mind the other bowls because they were brutal. But I just was thinking last night after the Washington game, would Georgia beat all 4 of these teams?
I think so. Georgia.
Everybody talks about Florida State, and I get it, undefeated. I get it. But I and everybody went nuts about Florida State. And in some ways I get it. But what about Georgia? And they came out angry.
So. Well, but the worst part about that game, honestly, is that nobody showed up to play for Florida State. What they have? 40 players opt out of that bowl game, just that one bowl game.
I think both teams had 27 kids.
Was it 27?
Both teams had 27 kids that were out. I believe that's the number. Now, Florida State didn't have their quarterback. Mm-hmm. They didn't have Verse, who's going to be a top 10 pick. A lot more guys that were counted on probably for Florida State were out. But, still, there was talent on the field, enough not to get beat by 60 points, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, the other thing is, too, when Alabama and Georgia played, how many players were banged up? Georgia wasn't in any position to play that. They were in a position to play the SEC championship game, but They weren't full speed. What were they? 85%, 85%. Brock Bowers, by the way, he's going into the draft, NFL draft. See you later, Brock Bowers. Off to the NFL he goes.
Yeah.
He didn't. He played banged up. Their other wide receiver, was it McConkey? He played banged up.
Yep.
So how do you beat a team full of just studs in Alabama? Tough to beat.
It is. And Alabama had a great game plan.
They did have a great game plan. Florida State did not have a great game plan. And my thing is, bowl season is garbage this year. It's awful. It sucked. It was trash. Bad. It's a shit product. The NCAA, shame on you for allowing, number 1, the NIL, number 2, the transfer portal, number 3, all these players are entering the NFL draft. They all think they're going to go high in the NFL draft, or they just don't want to play in a meaningless bowl game.
Or get hurt, most of all. A lot of these kids don't want to risk injury because think about it. If you're even never mind the first round picks. Let's say you're like a second or third round pick and you get hurt in that bowl game, you cost yourself millions.
Oh, for sure.
So I get it, but it's, Brian talks about this all the time and he says, these are meaningless games and they are, but I'm just amazed how many kids opt out. Like, to me, the Orange Bowl is still a huge bowl. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy to me how many kids just don't play.
It was a huge bowl, Kev. It was a huge bowl.
Was.
The whole game has changed. The whole game has changed. The whole game sucks. So don't get me wrong.
But my question to you is this. So we know there's going to be a 12-team playoff.
Yep.
Right. So, and we know that, obviously those games will probably be rotated in the major bowl games, which will make it a little bit better. But what are we doing? Like, are we eventually going to go to like an NFL playoff format and the rest of the bowls, nobody's going to care about? Like what I want to know their plan. And, I was a fan of NIL just because I feel like the NCAA makes billions of dollars off these kids. But I didn't think it would be like this. And I think it's obvious the way that they just kind of instituted this was not well planned. Because, Ray, you have kids that are making more money as freshmen than their offensive coordinators. So that puts a lot of pressure on the entire coaching staff because you got kids that are making so much money.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, it was like you got my scholarship. You could take my scholarship away, and then you have me by the cojones. And now it's like these kids run the show. And if they don't play these kids, they leave. It's a real mess in college football. I do think the 12-team playoff will help, but I just don't know the future of the game when you have all these coaches that are upset, and rightfully so in some respects. I just don't know how they're going to fix it because what's done is done.
Well, just like a little perspective, you have someone like Marvin Harrison Jr. He would be the overall #1 pick, in my opinion. #1 off the board, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chicago Bears. Send it, write it down. But guess what? They're going to give him $30 to $40 million for him to stay another year in college.
Right.
The NIL deal is ruining, in my opinion. And I said this years ago,
right.
and we talked about this, and I told you
he didn't agree on it.
No, I hated it. I still don't like it. Do I think they should get royalties and stuff from video games and everything else? And hopefully they can bring that wonderful college EA Sports game back at some point. I haven't seen it. But it all stemmed from that. It all stemmed from video games. Now we're doing 120, 100 million. I mean, like insane, not 100 million, but we're doing an insane amount of money here.
The money, and I'm not trying to veer off, but just to explain this to you, the money that was offered to Jeremiah Smith, who's the blue chip wide receiver signed with Ohio State eventually. The money that he was given and offered by other programs that he wasn't interested in was staggering. And it wasn't, $2 million. It was millions of dollars. And I actually heard that Miami offered the most, and all the Florida State and Florida people were saying, well, we're going to get him. It was between Ohio State and Miami. It was, does he stay home or does he not? And he ended up going to Ohio State ultimately because Brian Hartline, the NFL factory that they have there, and nobody can knock that. They have wide receivers. They're wide receiver But just to understand the amount of money that was being thrown around, it's just staggering. And that's what I didn't anticipate. And maybe I should have, knowing the game like I do. And you were spot on with that. I think they have to try to go to go to whatever legal avenue they have to go. And I think they're going to have to almost put a cap on what the kids can get. And then the rest of the money that they're offered will be given to them upon graduation or NFL declaration. It's got to be something like that, or else this is just, and really the transfer portal is worse than NIL, Ray. Like the tampering that goes on is unbelievable.
It's a business now. I mean, it's
crazy.
always been a big dirty business, college football, NCAA, period.
Right.
But I got to be honest with you. I kind of like the portal. And why? I like the portal because you're seeing a lot more of these teams like Washington.
Yep.
Get a chance to play in a national championship game.
Right.
Did I ever think Washington would have a chance? Absolutely not. If there was a team I was going to pull out, I'm going to admit it. I was wrong. I said, no, get rid of them. Get Washington's out. It's a Pac-12 trash team, trash conference.
Right.
They're not good. I love Michael Penix. I did not trash that dude. I've always thought he's been good. Going back to it. Funny thing. People forget. He played for the Indiana Hoosiers. He had Indiana ranked in the top 15. Has anybody ever heard of the Indiana Hoosiers in an NCAA football program?
I mean, I think you got to go back to Lee Corso to when they were like halfway decent.
Seriously,
Ray, that's a long time ago.
Right. No, I know. And that's the thing with Michael Penix.
Right. And what's even more interesting is the fact that Michael Penix used to run a lot more. And that's where those 2 ACL injuries came into play. And but again, just the way he's kind of changed his game, he's very much like a left-handed Deshaun Watson before Deshaun Watson went to Cleveland. The Houston and Clemson Deshaun Watson, where he moves around to extend plays. He keeps his eyes downfield. He's got quick feet. He's not looking to run. But man, is he not accurate? I mean, he's 57%. 57% on throws 40 yards or longer. He can throw downfield. He can throw in the mid-range, and he can throw the short ball, and he's accurate as it comes. And if you're a team like the New York Giants in the top 10, that'd be somebody he's a leader. I can see him being a Brian Daboll type of guy, but he's to me, and I've watched so much film on him because you fall in love with the film. He's just a special kid, but he was from Indiana. He was a portal kid. And that receiver that they have, it might be right up there with Marvin Harrison. 80 plus catches, over 1,400 yards receiving, 13 touchdowns, 6'3", 215. Whoever drafts him is going to be very, very happy. Very happy. Very good team. And I told you, I've watched, and I agree with you about the conferences. But I've watched so much of Washington, and they're just awesome. And Oregon, I think Oregon is very, very good, and they beat them twice. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah, no, I listen. I'm not shocked, right? But you have this thing, and I have this thing, and I am pro SEC all day, every day for how many years? And you're always that guy that's always kind of trying to push me. And you sent me the message about Portnoy and fuck the SEC. Yeah, and I appreciate it. But I will say, you said Washington. You called it. Yeah. And I didn't believe you. I thought you were doing that thing you do.
No, not on this.
When you shit on the SEC, like I did. That's what I thought you were doing.
No, listen, the SEC, the athletes in that conference, Ray, are different. Just look at Tennessee the other day. They whooped Iowa in the bowl game.
Yep.
And they played a true freshman quarterback that I've been raving about for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And they had a running back that's 6'2", freshman, 6'2", 220, that runs a 10-400 meter. I mean, that's just – the SEC just has different athletes. They just do. All across the board. Mississippi State. Watch them for the future. They got a quarterback by the name of Michael Van Buren, who Brian McDonald talks about a lot, and he's kind of a short quarterback. But the talent that's coming in, not just to the major schools, but to Mississippi State, to Kentucky, Tennessee's coming back to life. It's just on a different level. Now you add Texas, and you add Oklahoma. It's scary. It really is.
Listen, Dave Morrison, what's up, man? He dropped a comment in here, and it's so true. Still can't get that terrible 4th down call play from Bama out of his head. And, dude, what were they thinking on that play, Kev?
I don't know, because I thought they were going to roll the quarterback out, and I thought they were going to give him a run-pass option. Because, I know he fumbled on one of the plays that he did this, but he rolled, and if he didn't fumble the ball, he might have been running still. So right. I thought they were going to give him an opportunity to run or throw, and I would have liked that. The dive up the middle made no sense to me against that front.
You might as well have tried a tush push from 4 yards out.
Right.
But if you look closely at the play, like many other plays in this game that affected the timing of everything, was how awful the center for Alabama played.
Oh, he was terrible.
That dude plays for Alabama. How do you play for Alabama? You can't snap the ball. There was RPO plays where you see him go to hand it off, whether it was a ball fake or not. The dude's in the backfield because Milroe's pulling the ball off of his shin, or it's up over his head. So even on the last play, it came into play because there was another shitty snap that he had to field, and then he tripped. I think he tripped over his lineman's foot as he's trying to, run a QB draw. Awful play call, Alabama. And this is Nick Saban we're talking about. Even the goats can make a mistake.
Listen, and I think this was his best coaching job of his career, Ray. What he did with this group. What he did with this group was amazing because this is and you knew Alabama was going to have a little bit of trouble defensively, but for a team that was 31st against the run, they played really well against that run. I mean that Michigan front is full of NFL players. I told you at the beginning of the year, I thought Michigan was gonna the four classes that are there now. They've got 30 NFL players on there. Freshman to senior. They've got 30 NFL players on that roster, and their best tackle is out, the left tackle Minter. So it's crazy just how gifted they are in that regard. But listen, old school game, physical, two coaches that can coach. It just was an awful way to end a great game.
So, what do you think? Before we jump into the, your thoughts on the national championship, what are your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh, and then ESPN coming out and saying that he's off to the NFL next year? He's got the same agent as who the hell is his agent? He's got some agent as some heavy hitters.
Yeah,
and his next move is the NFL.
Could be.
I mean, this is ESPN releasing this before the game on Saturday.
Right.
That's insane to me.
Well, I think this. I think if he goes to the NFL, I think he's going to go because he knows, kind of like what Pete Carroll did. I think he's going to know that they're going to just destroy them. And
he ruined the program. He's going to get sanctioned. These fines are coming. And see you later. Goodbye. I brought you to the promised land, Michigan. Go blue, but I'm out of here.
I can't believe, and here's the other thing, and this is something that we can get into down the road when we have the other guys too, because I think it's a really solid question is, everybody talked about Florida State and Georgia. Should Michigan have not been allowed in the playoff? Should the committee have said, you know what? I'm going to send a message to all the other coaches around the country that if you're, and listen, everybody knows that people steal signs everywhere. Just like we know every school tampers with kids that are on campus to try to get them to portal. And, again, I think that's a really solid question to ask. Should Michigan have been held out of the playoff by the committee? It's a good question. But, I think if Harbaugh does go, because he loves Michigan. I mean, he's going to get all sorts of money. If they win the championship, they beat Ohio State 3 years in a row. He's going to get all sorts of money. If he goes to the NFL, I think it's because he knows he's going to get hammered.
What's up, Natter?
There he is. Natter.
He said, oh, boy, it's Kev Mike, the college football guy.
Well, I'm starting to step up the technology aspect of this.
Look, he's off his cell phone. Kev is off his cell phone tonight.
I got my cell phone right here.
He's got a cell phone to the side. He's got a computer now. Oh,
I'm trying not to watch Carolina because they're driving me nuts. 10 minutes to go, they're up 8 with the ball, but it's hard for me as a fan.
Yeah.
But but listen, I think that this championship game is compelling.
Yeah.
I think it's compelling because you have a team that likes to grind it out, that likes to pound the football, every throw is predicated on how they run the ball. Big, physical, tough. And I think that, Washington is a lot different. They have a big offensive line outside of the center who's 275, but he's quick. And they have the ability to spread things out. I think you're going to see Will Johnson cover the main receivers for Washington off and on all night. I never can pronounce this kid's name, but I'm going to try. Odunze. Odunze is the receiver.
You're talking about that's the second best wide receiver in the nation.
Yeah, I think he's right up there. I mean, 1553 in the air, 80 plus catches.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that this is going to be interesting. And I kind of think that this game in a way favors Washington because not only that, when Washington gets the lead, the game's usually I know Texas almost came back, but when they get the lead, they just kill the clock. It's amazing. Just dunking, running the ball, throwing. It's just amazing how Penix just can control the ball. It reminds me of when Brady was with the Pats, and they'd have a 4-point lead with 5 minutes to go, and they would kill the entire game, just kill the clock. Dude. So, I think this is going to be interesting. What's your take on this?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to the game. My biggest thing, Kevin, you probably be able to, help out with this one is obviously Washington is dynamic on offense. They have a quarterback, Michael Penix, that throws the deep ball, and he throws it so freaking good.
It's unbelievable.
Dude, I mean, listen, I was kind of like, because I hear you talk about Drake May a lot, and we got all the Caleb Williams hype out there and everything else. But when you sit and you watch Michael Penix step back and spin the football, it is poetry in motion. It is so pretty. It is so smooth. The only thing that I don't like about it, he's a lefty. You don't see many lefties in the NFL. You got Tua, and that's it. Going back, was Mark Brunell a lefty?
Yep.
I can't really think of many.
Boomer Esiason.
Boomer. Was Byron left? No, maybe not.
No, Byron was righty.
Either way,
Michael
Penix is beautiful throwing the football and leaning towards an NFL draft pick. Oh my! But dude, he just hit it right here, Dave Morrison. Imagine him with 2 good knees. That's the only scary part about Michael Penix losing some draft stock, I think, is he's got some bad knees.
Wow.
And that's a lot.
Watson too, though. It was the same thing with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and that's your guy. That's your comparison.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like it. But going back to the game, right? I don't want to go too off track because that happens to me sometimes, quite often actually. My question is Michigan, does Michigan have the secondary to match up with Odunze and Polk? Those are the 2 guys that you're going to have to slow down. I mean, that's it. Those 2 guys.
Yep.
Do they got the corners? Do they got the safeties? They did
I think they do. But
they did a great job against Alabama.
I think they do, and I think the other thing is that when you look at the way Michigan plays, and you look I thought their defense matched up as well as it could with a team like Texas. But this is a whole different animal up front. And I worry that they're going to really wear down on defense because, they play defense. They're not bad defensively. Trice is an NFL player, the defensive end. Yeah. He caused a lot of problems for Ewers last night.
Yeah, a couple
times. I don't know if they have the guys. I don't know if they're going to wear down. And that offensive line is going to beat them up, and they're going to try to push them around. And I think that's the question. And then on the flip side, can those receivers that spread them out, can they make plays, and can the offensive line block those dogs up front for Michigan? Because Alabama's got NFL players on that line, and they struggled with that pass rush a lot. So, it's just 2 completely opposite strategies. And I think that's going to be what's compelling in this game. And again, if McCarthy can make throws, enough throws to keep everybody honest, that'll bode well for Michigan. If they can't, and they go 3 and out, and Penix just controls the ball, going to be a big problem for Michigan. I've got a weird feeling that this is going to be a Washington win, and I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Washington's going to win this game. I don't know why I feel this way. I think Michael Penix, there's something about him, and I could be completely wrong. I just feel like this is going to be one of those 31, 24 type games.
Okay.
And I think that they're going to need to throw the ball, and I really do like Washington's secondary too. That's what I think. We'll see what happens. But I like Washington in this game. I really do.
Dude, it could definitely happen. So, Dave's saying he'll take Washington with the points all day, but he's confused. Right. This was the same spread. I think it was Texas was -4, right? Michigan's -4.5 right now. I'm sure that line will probably move around. Who knows how much? Right. But the thing with let's answer Dave's question first. Cap, do you think that Washington is a similar team to Michigan? I mean, Michigan is a similar team to Texas?
No, I don't think. I think Michigan plays old school football.
Okay.
I think Texas has the athletes to be balanced, and you saw Baxter, and you saw Blue, and Worthy, and Sanders. I mean, they're just so loaded.
Yep.
And they do have beef up front, but they're young, and I think that hurt them a little bit.
Okay.
Texas. And then Brian mentioned the defense, and that defense has got some good players, but they're young again, and they've got a lot of dudes coming in next year. I think that'll bode well for them, but I don't think they're similar at all. I think Texas and Washington were very similar. I think Alabama when Saban first got there is more what Michigan is: pound the ball, throw when you need to, keep people honest, play good defense. I'll tell you another thing in this game for you also. The special teams for Michigan was like, can they not field a punt? That could cause them a lot of problems. Missed that point.
Well, there two of them. They muffed two of them. Right. I mean, Bama got a quick 7-0 jump. And let's be honest, after that first interception, that wasn't an interception on the first play of the game. I was like, oh boy, it is going to be a long day for the Wolverines. Luckily, that play didn't go through, and then they ended up muffing the punt.
Right. But
they ended up muffing the punt on a 3-and-out or whatever it was.
Right.
And bang, here we go. The tide's going to roll. Not so fast, my friends.
But what surprised me the most is the poise of McCarthy. Like, that could have completely screwed him up.
Yes, I agree.
And he could have turned the ball over left and right. A couple of his throws were suspect. The call that Harbaugh made on second down when they were driving, that flea flicker, I thought was going to come back to haunt them too. And if they lost the game, everybody would have been all over him. How could you do that? And it was so not what Michigan does, so.
But play of the game, though, was that McCarthy when he ate the turf, when he made that one-handed catch and then threw it to the other kid that got smashed.
Yeah.
What a hell of a play. Athlete. So here's one big thing that I feel like Washington's going to have to worry about.
Yep.
And I don't know why Sarkisian went away from the run.
Right.
Michigan runs the football probably better than anybody in the country. They got probably the best running back, if not one of the top 3 in all of America, in Blake Corum.
Yep.
And if Michigan is going to say, you know what, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the clock, and let's be honest, if you're a ball coach, Kev, what are you going to do? You're going to try to limit the amount of time Michael Penix has an opportunity to be on the field, and you're going to pound the rock with Blake Corum. I mean, if Michigan's going to win the game, that's the key to success, in my opinion.
Right.
But will that happen?
Washington's going to have to load the box.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if
you can't.
I don't know if they have the size in the back 7 to match up with them.
Yeah.
It's going to be compelling.
Yeah, you can't. Because McCarthy can still throw the ball.
Here's the thing. For Michigan to win, I think McCarthy has to have over 200 yards passing. And I think that they need to run for over 125 yards. So that shows me that there's balance. And they could run for more. But to win the game, they're going to have to control the line of scrimmage, and they're going to have to control the ball, and they're going to have to keep because when you start punting the ball to Washington, and that quarterback starts to get comfortable, it is a problem. It's a problem. And if they have a lead 9-10 points with 8 minutes to go in the fourth, they just kill the clock. So listen, after the first quarter, we're going to see a lot. We're going to know a lot. And again, I just have a weird feeling that Washington's just going to make a couple more plays offensively, and they're going to win this game. And how crazy would that be?
It's going to be a doozy.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a great game. I got to be honest, I'm actually looking forward to it. I don't think that college football was really looking forward to this matchup.
No.
Who the hell wants to watch Washington? But you know what? I want to watch Michael Penix. Honestly, I do.
He's a stud.
I want to watch Michael Penix. He's a beast.
Yeah.
So that game is Monday night, January 8th at 7:30 p.m. Set your alarm clock. You probably don't want to miss that one. The last 2 undefeateds in the country. They're playing at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
And that game, it'll be live on ESPN. So, hey, looking forward to that one. Geez, Kev, there's a lot more football stuff going on in the world, not in college football. In the NFL, it's kind of turned into a pretty wide open. It's wide open this year.
It is.
This weekend we thought Miami might have ran away with the division. Huge football game this Sunday, Kev. Sunday night, they got pushed in the prime time. The Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills are going to go head to head. With all the stuff going on in Buffalo, and dude, they brought it back together. I mean, they started off pretty freaking bad, man.
Right. A lot of injuries in Miami, though.
A lot of injuries in Buffalo. You lost your middle linebacker, Matt Milano, and then you lost your Pro Bowl cornerback in Tre'Davious White. So huge 2 blows for the Bills, but you know what? They've held it together.
They have.
And like I said, they moved in the prime time on Monday night at 8:20. So right now that game opened up. Buffalo's -3, OU 49.5. Looking into that game, Kev, who do you like in this one? I mean, anything jump out at you for this game?
I like the Bills.
Bills home.
I like the
actually,
Bills.
it's in Miami.
I like the way that Buffalo's playing. I like the way they're really running the ball with Cook.
Yeah. Dude,
but
seriously.
really
He's
more
like
so,
top
Ray,
5 rusher.
I like Buffalo because I think Tyreek Hill's banged up, Jalen Waddle's banged up. They've got injuries everywhere. Tua has a shoulder thing. So I think that like Miami's in good shape. Moving forward, if they can get their guys healthy for the playoffs, but if they're just so banged up right now, that's my concern.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair take. And coming off of a complete smashing from the Baltimore Ravens, and we're gonna jump right into Baltimore. Is Lamar Jackson the MVP this year? And if you guys, whoever's watching, if you want to drop who's your MVP, I think it's clear and obvious. Lamar Jackson. I don't even think it's close.
No, it's Lamar, and we got to give him credit because that he did have an MVP years ago, and then he had issues with his health. He had, they didn't really have a lot of weapons. He was run first, and now he's, again, these quarterbacks that can, what he's learned to do is kind of what Michael Penix does at Washington. He escapes and moves with his feet and keeps his head downfield and is making throws. And he's extending plays to throw it instead of taking off to run it. And I think that's benefited them. They do have better weapons now. And I just think his growth as a passer and decision maker, I just think he's the MVP. And I think everybody that questioned him, and there's been times that I think a lot of people have, I think he deserves a lot of credit for the work he must have put in. And I think he's the MVP.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. He's been pretty much putting Baltimore on his back. They said he couldn't throw the ball. He's throwing the ball great. He's running the ball. He's making good decisions. Baltimore Ravens defense is solid. But are they the team in the AFC? And Kenny Pickett to back up Rudolph this week. That's insane to me.
Well, that and he didn't seem happy with that at all.
No, well, he sucks. Pickett sucks. I mean, he's a rookie, so it's fine, right?
Well, you gotta, but he's an older kid, second year. They are. What's interesting about them is Mike Tomlin's trying to win. So if Mason Rudolph is playing well, they're not going to screw around. They're going to stick with what they think works.
And hey, they have to win. Pittsburgh is in a must-win this weekend. Who are they playing? Pittsburgh is taking on. Who are the Steelers? Oh, geez. They got their hands full on Saturday against the Baltimore Ravens. Yowzers. Yeah. That's going to be a tough one for Mike Tomlin, by the way. Another season of over 500. Guy's been. I mean, I feel like he's doing a great job coaching. People have been kind of saying some negative stuff about him. I'll watch my French. We got little Matty over there. What's up, bud? Yeah. I thought Pittsburgh was going to be in the basement in that division, honestly. I think I said that at the beginning of the season. I didn't expect much out of Pittsburgh, but you have Mike Tomlin, and I feel like he's done a heck of a job coaching this year. He's going to have to coach his nuts off, though, on Saturday to beat the Baltimore Ravens.
I just cannot see Baltimore letting Pittsburgh get into the playoffs or win this. I just can't see them winning this game. I can't.
I don't either, to be honest.
They hate each other. It's a rivalry game. Like, but again, Mike Tomlin he's a ball coach, and it's just tough. But I just think Baltimore has too much. The question is, will Baltimore play everybody?
Yeah.
And that's like we talk about these bowl games and kids not playing.
I mean, they locked the number 1 seed up. You might as well sit them. Might as well rest them. You got a bye week.
Right.
I don't think that'd be a bad idea.
No.
Here's another game for you, and this is all kind of tying into the Steelers. I feel like I'm on a roll here with all these, leads that I'm throwing myself. But the Texans and the Colts are going head-to-head this week, and they're both right there on the wild card. The Colts are, leading that division. The Texans they share the same record. Obviously, the Colts must have the what do you call it there? Help me out, Kev. I'm having
the advantage.
Not the advantage. They have the they probably beat them the first game, right? They got again. Regardless, it doesn't matter. I'm just rambling. But the Colts and the Texans are playing Sunday, and whoever wins that game wins the division, right? Then you have the Steelers at 9-7. I don't know if the Steelers will have because the Steelers lost to the Colts. So if the Colts lose to the Texans and the Steelers lose, they're out. The Steelers will be out. Steelers just have to win. And if they win, they're still not in. So a lot of things to happen. I don't have the big screen behind me or next to me where I can move stuff around like Dan Orlovsky does on ESPN and tell you who's in, who's out, and all the different. No, I don't have all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
I do.
So, yeah, that's there's some important football games done in Week 17. There really is.
Yeah.
There really is.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting things here. I think you brought up 2 of the games that I think are interesting, and there's a lot of duds. At this point,
there's more duds than anything.
Before you get into some of the fantasy stuff, what do you think of the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question, Kevin. I actually threw a couple dollars on the Cleveland Browns to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I think Joe Flacco is amazing.
Right.
This dude's career has been rejuvenated. As long as he can keep Amari Cooper, got to get Amari Cooper back on the field. David Njoku has been balling.
Yeah.
Like, this kid has had the talent. This man, I should say. This man has had the talent for years, and for whatever reason, Cleveland had a hard time getting David Njoku the football. Well, Joe Flacco is not having a hard time giving him the football, and he is putting up some numbers. You want to go over some of these numbers here by Mr. Njoku?
Flacco's numbers, because I think Flacco's and then this screws me up too, because this is a veteran quarterback that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
And there's a veteran quarterback that nobody wanted in the right system with the right offense, and he is thriving. And this is like this whole debate, like these franchise quarterbacks and all this stuff that we try to draft these guys high and we trade all these picks. And you got a veteran quarterback that's just in the right circumstance and with the right coach and the right offense. And he's like, he looks like he's 21 years old again.
Flacco to Todd Heaper vibe. I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, he's averaging 323 yards a game. He's got 13 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He's been sacked 8 times. He's lost the ball 4 times to a fumble. 323 yards a game he's averaging.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. The guy was like sitting at home playing with his kids, for crying out loud, coaching. In the last few weeks, so I think Flacco's played, 5 games maybe now?
Right.
We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll say the last 4 games. The Njoku, 6 for 91, 10 for 104. The 6 for 91, he had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
10 for 104 and a touch.
Right.
6 for 44 and a touch. Last week, he had 6 for 134. He's been going nuts. Yep. He hasn't had, his worst game, he had 44 yards, but he had a touchdown to throw in there. Everything else for the rest of the season has been trash for Njoku. Anybody who picked him up towards the end of the season for Syracuse versus Duke, fellas. All right, Dave, have a good night, man. Good luck to the Orange, right? They're the Orange now. Did I say that right? Orange, not the Orange man, the Orange.
Yeah, the Syracuse Orange.
All right, he's a big Syracuse fan, Syracuse Dave. So
I hope they beat Duke. I hope they beat Duke.
I would love to. I mean, anybody can be playing Duke, and I'm not rooting for Duke. We know how that goes.
You know, Duke's young, and it just shows. Coach K, man, not being there, it makes a difference. But you know,
but that could still be. He's still successful, I'd say.
Oh yeah, and he's recruiting like an animal.
Who is it? What's it? John? What's his name?
John Shire.
Shire. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, he's doing a heck of a job. I mean, you know, turnkey, mostly. But yeah, Duke is Duke, man. They're still Duke.
They get players, and you know they just use the NIL that they used to use before NIL was allowed.
Yep.
To just continue to just roll. I mean, but you know, look, this is a great time of year when you think about it, because we do have the playoffs. We touched on that. We have the college football championship. We have, you know, college basketball ramping up.
Well, yeah, March Madness coming soon.
We got the draft stuff that's going to come up quicker than you think.
Yeah.
I'll be all over that, bro. All over it. You know, listen, it's a good time. But like my thing is, you know, I'm not a big fantasy guy, and I know you are. You know, just in terms of like, you know, for Njoku, like you were mentioning, he also leads the league in drops. Can you imagine? If he could that's a
good stat you just threw there. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yikes. I did not know that.
So if he can just cut those drops in half, I mean, he's got to. I mean, I remember seeing him in high school in Jersey. I remember seeing him at Miami, and he was just so raw. But he always had, his hands are so big. It's like maybe Shaq at the foul line, where sometimes it just hits him wrong.
He's a Miami Hurricane, huh? He's a product of the U.
Right.
Oh, that's your guy, Kev.
We've been down for so long.
I know. Well, hopefully, anyway. You know what? Hopefully, you guys will get what you need, and that you can move forward. And it looks like they are. So that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing.
Right.
So Kev, I had 3 fantasy football leagues, and I got to say this is probably the best year that I've ever had. But I got lucky. There were some guys that shined, that kind of came out, and you know, MVPs for me, because you know who I had to go against this week?
Who?
I had to go against Lamar Jackson's 5 touchdowns.
Oh my God.
321 yards. I had to go against Saquon Barkley. Got lucky there. I had to go against Alvin Kamara. Got lucky there.
Yep.
And I had to go against Christian McCaffrey. Got lucky there.
Not lucky.
I got lucky.
I'd rather be lucky than good, though.
Ooh, you ain't lying. Neither is my pocket.
Yeah.
But listen, when you got to go against Lamar, Saquon, Kamara, and McCaffrey, and they all, not Lamar. Lamar went nuts. But McCaffrey got banged up, Kamara got banged up, and Barkley got banged up.
Yep.
All 3 of them ended up going out in the second half.
Yep.
Thank the Lord that happened. Because, listen, I even offered to go against the guy I'm playing. I said, hey, listen, you want to chop the pot? I'll chop the pot. He's like, I don't play to chop the pot. I play to win. Play to win the money. All right, bro. No problem. We can play. But you know who went crazy for me? Khalil Herbert, MVP, kid. 18 for 124 and a touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco, 18 for 130 and a touchdown, 7 catches for 35 yards. I had DJ Moore go 9 for 159 and a touch.
Oh, he was a beast.
Sam Laporta had 7 for 84, even had a tackle to throw in there.
I love that kid.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. I just so here's the thing, you know, next year you get to keep 2 players on offense and 2 players on defense. And I'm looking, I have Tyreek Hill, I have DJ Moore, I have Isaiah Pacheco, and I have Justin Fields, and I have Sam Laporta. I can only keep 2 of them. Tyreek Hill's automatic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Can't even. But then do I go Pacheco? Do I go DJ Moore? Do I go Sam Laporta? Because you know what? tight ends are so valuable. You don't know, like, the gap between the next tight end and, dude, that was just his rookie year that he balled out like that.
Dude,
He's the top 6 tight end in the NFL.
I think. Listen, you're the fantasy guy. You talk about guru. You're the guru of fantasy. So I would think, in my opinion, I would think that because the tight ends are a lot more difficult, I would probably keep him. I think Laporta is going to just get better and better, and that offense will always, it will be predicated towards getting him the rock. But because Jared Goff is what he is. But, my question to you is this. I've always wanted to ask you this. I don't know why this just came about, but when you're drafting, when you're doing a fantasy league, is a running back the most important, or is the quarterback?
Well, it all depends on the league.
Well, right.
I mean, obviously, if you can end up with a Christian McCaffrey, right. A back who's going to catch the ball, Saquon.
Yep.
When Saquon's balling, that's what you want. CMC is first off the board for me. I mean, I had the first pick in the league. I took that as my first pick, Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
That's where you go. But if you're going to go quarterback, it's kind of like Justin Fields. Well, he's not number one, but Lamar. You want the running quarterback. And listen, Fields, he missed a lot of games, but he had some phenomenal games. He had some big games. He had some games he rushed for over 100 yards. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. Those are the types of players that you want to lead your team with. I will say that I had Josh Allen on a team. I finished in second place. I had Jalen Hurts on a team. And that actually I had the most points in the league, but I finished third. I got beat by the second place by it was just a mess.
Right.
But anyway, that's fantasy football. Fantasy football is crazy. You never know what you're going to get. And at any point, anybody can win. And that's kind of the beauty about it. I will say this. Championship weekend was last weekend. I was the high scorer out of every single team. My guys went nuts. They said, "We got you." And I said, "Thank you." So, you know what? But the real MVP, Harrison Butker. 6 field goals, Kev.
6
field goals Kansas City had in that game against Cincinnati, and that really put me over the top. He got me 30 points, dude.
Right.
30 points from a kicker. That's a big leg right there. That's a big day. And Derwin James went
fall into place, though.
Derwin James balled out too last week. Derwin James, 7 tackles, 5 assists, a sack, and 2 pass defenses. 28.6 points. Send it home. Thank you.
Right.
Send it. Anyway, that's a little bit of my fantasy talk. I took a first, a second, and a third this year. Not bad.
Not bad.
Hey, three leagues, man. 3 for 3. Cashed in. Cha-ching. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up, Kev. I think this was pretty great. We hammered 47 minutes. You were on point with obviously college football. Always.
Love it.
Looking forward to NFL this year. Sunday morning, we're going to jump back on Gamblers Anonymous. I'm not sure if Scott and Otter are going to do a show tomorrow night. I know they were talking about doing Wednesdays, maybe not. I don't know. But if they are, you guys are checking in, check out Scott and Otter over on the Scott and Otter show page. And yeah, man, that's it. You got anything else, Kev? You got anything else you want to throw out there?
The only thing I have to add is I made it through a whole show without spinning. This is phenomenal.
Dude. Listen, and the best thing is, you got a square, like you're a whole square right now.
I'm a whole square, man.
You're not right here, right?
Yeah, but I gotta start running, bro. I when you're far away, you look skinnier. When you come into reality, my New Year's resolution is to get myself back in shape. But listen, it was great doing this. I can't wait to do more of this with you guys. Absolutely. And college football playoff, a couple of big football games, be interesting to see. Then we have more discussions about the NFL playoffs, and it'll be a lot of fun.
No, I agree. All right,
brother.
Kev, thank you. I'm so excited you're able to hook up your internet tonight and get that thing going.
Yeah, it's great.
So, hey, enjoy your Carolina basketball, and we'll be in touch soon.
Be in touch. Have a good night.
Brother. Have a good night.
All right.